United!
Hello everybody and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions for round number 3 of our Premier League predictions. As always, there are timestamps down in the description if you just want to jump ahead to certain games, but of course I would never recommend that. And there is also the chapters feature on the YouTube video itself where you can, again, jump ahead to certain games.
We are now an Amazon affiliate, so please, if you are buying something from Amazon, click below when you do it. It's just it's a small click for you, but it's a bit of money for us. And we also have an Audible trial in there if you'd like to take it. Go ahead and give it a go. It's really cool. You get free books to listen to.
Very good, Thomas. And although this is giving me a lot of heartache before we move on to week number 3, we just have to have a look back at record-breaking week number 2 and see how we got on our predictions.
I mean, I really want to tell you how much I love Man City, but we both know that's not true. But they did me a huge favor this week. Huge! As I was losing, you had a correct score as well. And they did it for me. They did it for me.
It came down to not only the last game, but the last seconds of the last game. I had the game on in the background and wasn't even paying attention to it. And
Brutal.
I was just like, when it got to injury time, I was like, oh, hey, I got a correct score. And then I was like, oh, shit, Tom's got 3-1. And literally as soon as, I realised that, bloody Jesus deflected goal went in.
Oh,
No!
what a gorgeous man! It's just my hero.
So, yes. So, let's forget about that. That's done. It's in the past. Let's move on to week 2.
Liverpool versus Arsenal.
That is champions Liverpool, Thomas, and don't you forget it. Up against unbeaten Arsenal. Only 36 games to go before they get another undefeated. See, Tom, did you know Arsenal are the only side to go through a whole season unbeaten?
I had no idea. Their fans have literally never mentioned it.
Absolutely incredible.
Indeed.
So, because of that, I'm just going to talk about Arsenal. Yes, 2 wins on the bounce. Wasn't a great performance against West Ham. More of a Wenger-style performance, but they turned on the kind of Arteta bits when they absolutely needed it. 50th goal for Lacazette. It was a really good goal as well, pretty much made by Aubameyang.
Great cross.
But I think the moment you want to talk about, which will be a running theme, is how was that penalty not given?
What in God's name is VAR doing? It's absolutely incredible what they've decided on. This new weird handball thing where apparently the shirt is not on the arm, it's part of the body. So now if it touches any part of the shirt, it's not a...
Madness. They've seemed to... I don't know how they've made that rule more complicated. It is craziness. But
I didn't think...
There will be more examples of it as we go through, so you don't need to use it all in this one. But this was the one they got away with, where other people just didn't get away with it. But yeah, good to see Nketiah getting a goal as well. This is going to be the real acid test coming up against Liverpool, who they've already beaten this season, I might add. Do you want to give us a little bit on Liverpool, Tom?
Yeah, so Liverpool were really good against Chelsea. They won 2-0. For some reason, really quickly, Christensen just body slams Maine to the ground, gets sent off, and from that moment there was only one winner. Mane's second goal is fortuitous, but when Kepa's playing, you're always going to get those. But they've looked really good to start the season. And we have them coming second in the league anyway, so we clearly believe in them. And it was a pretty concise 2-0 performance against Chelsea, I thought.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, Mane's work rate was amazing. I mean, the whole way. I know it's Kepa's mistake, but it's Mane's forced him into that.
It's Mane's loose ball that he plays that he's got to go run and chase up. So it's really good work from him. I've got Liverpool winning this game. I don't know about you.
Go on.
2-0 to Liverpool.
Yeah, to me it was Liverpool just sort of showing why they are still a cut above a side like Chelsea. Just, they didn't panic, they didn't worry even when Chelsea were on top of them, and they just good at finding a way to win. But that being said, I am going to be back here. Oh, fucking, what do I do? Arsenal are going to get a draw in this game, Tom, and remain unbeaten. I think this is going to be Liverpool 2, Arsenal 2.
What are you going to do when Arsenal finally lose a game? Are you going to be like Donald Trump and pretend it didn't happen?
Oh, there'll be some reason for it, for why they lost.
They never lost. This is all, it's fake facts.
Burnley versus Southampton.
Well, Burnley are coming off possibly at one of their worst performances this season. They were absolutely hided by Leicester at the end of the day 4-2, and they even took the lead in the game. But Leicester were just at their flowing best against them, and Burnley had nothing to offer. I'm really worried for Sean Dyche in that the club doesn't seem to want to bring in any players. Brady went off injured again. You just wonder, the season it's as many games as they normally play in like 2 months less time. How are they going to get through a year?
I mean, especially the injuries they've got. They've got me, Cork, Tarkowski, Barnes already injured. I actually would say that they look shit at the back.
They looked bad.
Obviously, Heaton still looked really good. Not Heaton, Pope still looked really good.
I mean, Pope wasn't at fault for any of the 4 goals, but they were just...
But still, even though they're a bit threadbare, I'd still say the work rate and the attitude was still really good from Burnley. It wasn't like they gave up. It wasn't like they stopped trying or anything.
No, I'm just worried about their actual depth. Like, I don't know who they bring in. Like, with Brady going off, you were just like, okay, cool, we'll bring Peters back on. But after that, like, we've got a man and a dog on the bench, So
you'd have to say then, even though it's only 2 games in, it's a big game for both clubs. Both sides need to get wins on the board.
What happened to Spurs, Ian?
Southampton, I mean, it's a similar thing, isn't it? I don't think Southampton were necessarily that bad against Tottenham, but... like with Leicester, they hammered Burnley in the end. Spurs absolutely hammered the Saints in the end. They took the lead. It looks like Ings is back in the goals. That's good for them. But is this going to be what Southampton do? Do they just like start the seasons really badly and then have to bail themselves out?
Why were they playing such an incredibly high line against a quick Spurs attack with possibly the best striker in the league? Like, the commentators were just literally at a loss in that match. They're like, the Southampton back line was pushed up almost the halfway line. And they were just playing balls in behind Aston over and over again. And he's rapid. And he's rapid. And after 60 minutes and 4 goals or whatever, you think you just drop back a bit. But they stayed high.
But also as well, I don't think Alex McCarthy's playing that well in goal either. He's sort of not done as well as he ended last season too. So both sides really need a win. I don't know why. I just fancy Southampton away. I think Southampton are going to win this game, take advantage of Burnley's injury list, and I think it's going to be Burnley 1, Saints 2.
I am going to go with a 1-1 draw in Tottenham Hotspur versus Newcastle United.
Right, Tom, I'm setting you a challenge during this segment of the programme. I'm not going to tell you what the challenge is. It's a little unfair, but I'll see if you've passed or failed it by the time we get to the end of this segment. I'm going to just start with Newcastle. Just so random of a football club, aren't they? They're so good one week, bad the next week. Steve Bruce must be thinking, like, what the hell have I got to do? He put the same side out and got that crap performance.
I think it was 1-0 or 2-0, and there's just this peach of a ball to Callum Wilson, who's 6 yards out of goal, who somehow contrives to head it like a mile over. And you just see him grab his face, and you're like, mate,
that was the chance, wasn't it? That was the one chance they
score there. But if you're not going to score there, you're not going to get a goal in this match.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Last week he scored that tap-in chance. This week he misses it. Whatever Newcastle tried didn't work. They gifted Brighton 2 early goals, and to do that against Brighton is just criminal because they're so well organised. Steve, I mean, he must be just like, well, crap next week. We'll probably be good this week. This is the game they absolutely burgled Tottenham in last year and won 1-0 with literally one shot. Dubravka's injured. I'm not sure how long he's injured for, but that isn't great, although Darlow's not a bad sub-keeper. They are going to miss out on him. But how are they going to get on against Jose's boys, Tom?
You know what? I can't believe this, but we need a full hour and a half to talk about Tottenham Hotspur today. I mean, my God, everything is happening at this club. They brought in Gareth Bale, who is apparently injured until at least October, if not later. Dele Alli is on his way out to PSG.
When did that happen? I don't remember Bale coming in. That's not been in the news at all.
Really? You haven't read any of the 8,749 stories about that one?
No.
The thing that this is making them title contenders according to the BBC at times. But everything's happening. Reguilon's come in, which is another good signing for them. But this Dele Alli thing I find really, really odd. He was like Mourinho's favorite player last season, and now he can't even get in the squad.
Now he's useless. He's regressed.
They were fantastic against Southampton. Harry Kane was basically Christian Eriksen-esque, just playing ball after ball to Son, who just put the ball away over and over again. I don't know if you've seen the clip where Mourinho breaks up Son Heung-min's freaking interview to go give Harry Kane man of the match, but that's the most Mourinho thing he could possibly have done. Apparently, you're not especially convinced by this Spurs team right now.
I'm not still convinced by him. I think
because they can't defend.
Kane and Son were great, and more Son than Kane, because Kane mishit some of those through balls and Son made them into great passes.
His finishing in that game was incredible.
Yeah, I'm still reserving judgment on Tottenham until they can string some form together.
Yeah, fair enough. I was impressed by that Spurs performance, but more than anything else, I was just impressed by Son and Harry Kane linking up together the way they did.
If I was Newcastle, I'd be going back to the Premier League and saying, why have you allowed this guy to continue his career after he broke someone's leg last year?
Heinous leg breaker, Song Hyung-min. Enough of this, though, because no one needs this much information on Tottenham Hotspur. I have them to win this game. I have Spurs to beat Newcastle United 2-1.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by them, but I think Spurs will win as well. I'm going for a 3-1 Tottenham win. And by the way, Tom, congratulations. You did pass the test, because I thought there is no way you're getting through a Spurs segment without mentioning the All or Nothing Jose Mourinho documentary, which you did. So well done. And let me say, for anyone that watches that, what a staged piece of garbage.
Oh my God. You're not allowed
to talk about it. Fulham versus Aston Villa.
So let's talk about this Villa side. I think we can both talk about this Villa side, because I think we're both a little bit shocked at how good they've been in the transfer market. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why it's not fair that we have to do our preseason predictions before 4 rounds of the Premier League and the end of the transfer window. Because Ollie Watkins, Traore, and Martinez coming into this club, that's basically a third of the starting lineup just improved dramatically. And I thought Watkins was really good against Sheffield United. He's full of running, pace, he's got an eye for goal. Every time he sees the goal, he shoots, which is the sort of player they need. I've talked enough about Jack Grealish. I'm not sold on Jack Grealish, but he's a good center midfielder, and you saw it in that match. He can pull the strings when he needs to. Martinez, great penalty stop against Lundstrom. Yeah, it's close to him, but you still have to save the ball. And I think we both agreed that he was fantastic to end the year at Arsenal. And the fact they'd gotten him for like 17 million makes you wonder why Sheffield United didn't go and get him instead of Ramsbottom. But enough. We've got Sheffield United coming up in a minute. I'm really impressed by Villa right now. Their transfer dealings have been good. They backed their manager to the hilt now. They spent almost like £300 million in the last couple of years to improve the squad. What do you think, Ian?
Well, yeah, I agree with you on what you said about Aston Villa. That was a game they just needed to get the win. And, it's not difficult because you're in control of the game. But when you play against 10 men, they just put everyone behind the ball. You just got to find a victory, otherwise everyone criticises you, and they did, and that's important for Dean Smith to get off to a good start. Side that hasn't got off to a good start is Fulham. Oh my God, they were all right going forward in both games, and obviously they were pretty good going forward against Leeds and scored some good goals. And with Mitrovic up front, they look so much more of a focal point. They had someone that
Mitrovic is huge.
Yeah,
has he grown? Well, I don't remember him being a man mountain.
This is why it's always so crazy where you leave a guy like that out unless he's injured, because he's such a he's going to be so good at getting on the end of things and getting scruffy goals is what you need in the Premier League as well. But Fulham cannot defend, Thomas. They can't defend. They're so bad at the back. They're so open. They're so naive. They just let Leeds and they let Arsenal just run in time and time again. If Scott Parker doesn't address that, they're curtains already. And I don't see them winning this game either. I don't know what you think.
No, it's weird. I really enjoyed the Fulham Leeds match. I thought Mitrovic was nigh on unplayable in that. I thought he really showed that when he plays,
Leeds
Fulham
can't defend either. Let's see how we get.
No, Leeds can't defend.
Defenders.
Yeah, but he threw his weight around. That's the thing. Is Mitrovic doesn't take. He did it before. That's why I didn't used to like him in the Premier League. He will foul everybody within 10 foot of him just to make sure they know he's there. But I just, this Villa side, man, I'm starting to believe, and I don't like it, but I'm starting to believe. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Villa victory.
Yeah, I'm going to be boring and copy you. I think Villa will win also 2-1.
Manchester City hosting title contenders Leicester City. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the company media line that Sky, BBC, and everyone else is taking. Leicester have won 2 games, therefore they are now favourites to win the Premier League title. Obviously, there's absolutely no chance anyone can match pace with 2 wins in a row to start the season. Therefore, Brendan Rodgers, Leicester City are title favourites now.
Classic Rodgers, Thomas. Classic Rodgers. He gets into good positions early in the season, only to blow it later on.
blow
We've
it.
seen it time and time again. This isn't Scotland, Brendan. This is English Premier League. You need to do it for, how many games is it? 48? 55?
13.
13 games you need to do it for over the course of the season. But jokes aside, they were really good. They were impressive again. They came from a goal down against Burnley. Harvey Barnes is having a good bit of form at the moment, to the point where they're talking about him getting in the England side.
He was really good.
We always have to talk about Vardy's running, but I actually thought he was really unselfish in the game for once. He usually is quite a selfish striker, but his movement was really good, and there was times where he could have shot and he played a pass which was the better often.
The commentators almost seemed angry that he set Harvey Barnes up for that opening goal. They kept being like, I just thought he was going to shoot. And you're like, well, there were two men on top of him and a goalkeeper. He took a touch and then laid a perfect pass across. Like,
I know, it's almost like he's a good player, isn't it?
It's almost like he can see a football pitch next to him.
Dennis Pratt hit a goal in faster than anybody's ever hit a ball in the history of football. That was an absolute belter. And just generally, they were impressive all around the board, weren't they? Very good work rate, and they're going to give City a really tough game, I imagine. But City looked good as well.
City looked really good against Wolves, although Wolves really did challenge them. Podence missed a host of opportunities before he finally got an assist for the Raul Jimenez goal. But City, I don't know, because we've only seen one game, if they've solved their defensive issues. Because
they haven't, because John Stones is terrible.
Yeah, what was done to them was, there were moments in that game where you just thought, Wolves are getting back into this. Wolves are getting back in. But at the end of the day, they still have Kevin De Bruyne, who is an absolute magician. Phil Foden got a goal. It was a good finish. It was really well played. It's good to see that they're actually going to play him in football games, as opposed to, we really value this kid. He sits on the bench. I think City are going to win. Obviously, I backed them for the title, so now is not a time to back away from that, unlike Villa, who I now have definitely staying up. So I'm going to go with a City victory, and I'm going to give a scoreline that's going to sound really comprehensive, but it's not. But yet again, Man City 3, Leicester 1.
It's not fair. He went first last time, and I had to copy him. I really want to copy him again, because that's the scoreline that won it. But let's go deja vu from last week. Leicester 1, Man City 2.
And it's now time for the Grandstand Betters Play of the Week, as West Bromwich Albion host Chelsea Professional Football Team.
That's right, Thomas. And before we get to a brand new segment of the show called What's Kepa Done Now, we have to talk about the Grandstand Betters Play of the Week. And we were successful last week in backing swashbuckling Leeds to get their first win of the season. And we are confident that we're going to be right again. We are going for over 3 goals in this game. That is right. We are picking over 3 goals in the game between West Bromwich Albion and Chelsea. And so, yeah, go over the Grandstand Betters, bet on that. And without further ado, Thomas, tell me about the Chelsea number 1.
Yeah, I'm going to really quickly, before I talk about the Chelsea number 1, just talk about a story that hit the news today about the fact that Roman Abramovich was buying the rights to players in other countries, and some of those players ended up playing against Chelsea. And I'm really enjoying the fact that this club really just can't not have drama surrounding them at any moment. Like, every time you think Chelsea are just going to go back to playing football, we get a story about Roman Abramovich, throwing money around and it being completely dangerous. But let's talk about Kepa, right? So it's 1-0, and Chelsea is still very much in the game, even with Christensen sent off. You think, like, they can go up, they can get a goal, they can do this. And then he decides to hit the ball at Sadio Mane from about 4 foot away.
Bad. It's really bad. Really, 2 games in already, and he's already made 2 mistakes in 2 games.
I don't, like, some people are saying they feel bad for him. I really don't. I really don't feel bad for him after what he did to Sarri, where he refused to get off the pitch, and everything that's happened in the last year. Like, how Frank Lampard isn't, like, calling Roman every day and just being like, anybody, and give me a cardboard cutout. I hear Dean Henderson's available. Just go give him 60 million. We need a goalkeeper.
But it was funny how, obviously it was quite well publicised that Chelsea went for Alisson, and then he said no and went to Liverpool. And the difference between the 2 goalkeepers was never more evident in this game, with Kepa doing that, and then obviously Jorginho with his little step. Only Bruno Fernandes does a step. Missing, obviously, Alisson saving the penalty. But Christensen's red card in the first half really cost Chelsea. They were pretty evenly matched in the game up until that point. Decision-making of players, man.
We discussed this with the John Egan one, and obviously we'll get into this with Sheffield United as well. But like, I
have more
get
sympathy for John Egan than Christensen rugby tackling a guy.
Well, yeah, and it's the fact that in slow motion, like, he puts both arms over the top and then just slumps on his back, and you're like, mate, you could have at least pretended to trip and fall. You could have done anything. This is so blatant, and you know they're going to review this. Like, what are you thinking?
Right.
I don't know.
It's big time. And to me, that's like the thing. A lot of people are saying before this season started, Chelsea, they've gone out and signed some great attacking players, but they haven't addressed their problems at the back, and that's absolutely evident. It was evident against Brighton. They were shaky in that game.
We've reached a really weird point now in football, I think, where there's a lot of like players that can score goals available, which for the last decade there were not. Like, do you remember Arsene Wenger year in, year out being like, who do you want me to sign? Like, there's 3 world-class strikers on earth. Now there's a ton of players that run at pace with the ball and score goals, but there seems to be no centre-backs in the entire world that anyone trusts. And they brought in Thiago Silva, but I've already said my piece on him in preseason predictions. Have a look above. I'm sure the video's up there somewhere. But you worry about Chelsea at the back still, but up front, if they can keep 11 men on the pitch.
Thiago Silva, right. Firstly, he didn't play in the game where Brazil beat Germany 7, or Germany beat Brazil 7-0. 7-1, whatever it was. Secondly, he might not be quick, but I don't think he's going to get done by just a straight ball down the middle.
No, probably not. Also, I just don't think he's going to rugby tackle anyone. I'm just saying, there's a distinct lack of defenders available for Chelsea to sign in the first place. But
So not good for Chelsea, but the perfect game for them to play, where Werner and Havertz, who haven't scored yet and are getting close to being on the Jemba level of worst foreign signings ever in the Premier League history, come up against the West Brom side, who cannot defend.
No, they've shipped 8 goals in 2 matches. It has been absolutely diabolical. Wow. Everton absolutely ran roughshod on them. One of Calvert-Lewin's headers, or his last goal, I swear goes off the back of his neck or something. Like,
it does. But honestly, like, West Brom scored 2 amazing goals in this game from Dignana and Pereira. 2 fabulous goals. They have to work so hard for the goals, and then they give away terrible, three
second half goals.
You know. But I have to say, if this is what Village is going to do for West Brom and just make them entertaining, again, I'm on board for it. Red card for the manager.
Nothing is more entertaining than watching Slaven Bilic march along the touchline with the referee screaming at him.
It looks worse than it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because he has to go over there because that's where the changing room is because of COVID, and and Mike Dean's like acting like a scared kid.
I mean, to be fair with Slaven Bilic, I would be a scared.
Fair enough. But at least they're not boring, West Brom fans. But we're going big on this one for goals, Tom. We've got to go big.
I'm going 4-2 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm going to go 5-1 to Chelsea.
Ooh, wow. It is going to be a mauling, ladies and gentlemen, so at least bet on over 3 goals, although if you take our score lines, you could bet over 5 and still win.
But hang on, Thomas, watch out! The Eagles are coming! Because it's Crystal Palace against joint top Everton.
Ian, I want to talk to you about Everton right now because, oh my God, does this look like a totally different team? I know we're 2 games in. I know I keep preaching being quiet. James Rodriguez is so good at football.
Who are the dominant force in Liverpool? I don't know.
Oh my God, are Everton title contenders after winning 2 straight games?
Oh, I was thinking of Southport.
Oh, I was thinking of Tranmere. No, but Everton have been absolutely fantastic. Calvert-Lewin obviously got a hat-trick, but I think West Bromwich Albion did their best to allow him to get a hat-trick. Richarlison, I was actually quite impressed by. I know every year he starts the year well, but he started the year this year being quite unselfish and looking for other players on the pitch. And that's, you know, you want your striker to shoot, but if he's going to get Calvert-Lewin a hat-trick by being an assister, a bit like Kane and Son were for each other, then yeah, great. You're going to be really happy with that. But that Everton midfield does not stop working, and there is so much class in it, Ian.
Oh, man, James has been really impressive. Just his attitude has been fantastic so far, and I'm actually really pleased for Calvert-Lewin, and I think a lot of that's down to Ancelotti, who's literally just told him, stay in the box, that's where you'll score goals, and that's what he's doing, and it's great to see.
No, they and you know, It's almost like we start talking about them and I instantly run out of words, and it's not because they're superlatives. It's that they're just a good team now. They look like the Everton we expected for like the last 3 straight years, but they finally come out and started playing football like that. And I really like them to challenge for a top 6 spot now. I'm going to be totally honest. I really think they're going to push the Arsenal, Man United, Spurs, because James also, I haven't figured it out yet, right? I've seen 2 games. But they seem to be able to get him on the ball all the time, and yet he's not doing anything specific to do it. It's almost like they're protecting him in the midfield, and whenever they get a chance, they give him the ball. And that goal, he pings it from distance. And you give him that much time and space, obviously he's going to do that. But if he can keep doing that all season, they are going to be dominant.
Absolutely, yeah. And also the little scrappy things as well, like Calvert-Lewin's hat-trick. Proves that they get the little cheap goals, and they're good from set pieces as well. So at the moment, they're a very hard side to beat. But being a hard side to beat brings me very nicely on to Crystal Palace, Thomas, who have also got 2 wins from 2, and doing what they did last season of getting all their points early so they can have a nice early holiday come the end of the season. Let's save the Man United side of this if you can. Park the Man United side for the moment. And let's just say how Palace got a bit of luck, but generally that's an impressive win over Man United.
So Palace beat Man United. It was a game of football in which Zaha scored 2 goals. In fact, all I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Zaha's last goal because it's really good. Beats his man and absolutely just spanks into the bottom corner. And it was a dagger in the back of Man United to win it. Zaha has started the season on absolute fire. And if he can do this, and I'm not even kidding, for the next 3 months, you could see him finally justifying a £75 million transfer. Although without fans in stadiums who can afford that,
he's going to be there for life.
It's good though, because if he can be on form, this Palace side are not a bottom 5 club like we thought they were. They are almost top half with him playing like this because they have an outlet.
Exactly, and it looks like all the stuff I talked about, how they ended the season so badly, they've really done well to park that. Well, Hodgson's done a good job. And they've got very good attitude again, like we saw from Palace, before they got to the 40-point mark last season.
Yeah.
Zaha, Schlupp, Townsend, Ayew, all really impressive. They play with a lot of pace when they have the ball on the counter-attack. And they're very well organised, because that's how Hodgson sets them up, even though they play 4-4-2.
Yeah. So, Ian, score prediction time. I'll let you go first for once.
Well, as we've been talking about how Everton are the new Liverpool, I think it would be remiss for me not to back them in this one. I think it'll be, I'm going to go 3-1 Everton.
Well, I'm going to be boring as hell because that's my scoreline as well. 3-1 to the Evertonians. West Hammersmith United hosting the Wolves from Wolverhampton. Who wonder?
West Ham United, 2 defeats out of 2, with 2 games where David Moyes will be thinking, how did we lose that game again? They're not seem to be getting, I must admit, they're not getting a lot of luck in matches, West Ham, at the moment. They're not playing that badly either. They should have got something out of the Arsenal game. But
yeah, we said that about Villa.
The only point I put in is how many Mikel Antonios do they need to be a successful side?
About
Between
11.
1 to 11.
11. It's really tough. I don't know any West Ham supporters, and that's good. But I don't know how it must, genuinely, fans of West Ham tell us how it feels, because we really thought you guys were going to start the year better. I know it's 2 games, but this is what West Ham did last year as well. You're every game, you're you guys were good enough to win, and they lost, and they lost, and they lost, and they lost, and then they drew, and then they lost, and you're just looking at this team, and you're there's one dude doing anything anymore, and it's Mikel Antonio. No, actually, that's a lie. Jared Bowen is nothing short of a revelation in this team. He probably should have had a penalty in the first half as well.
I think Moyes has a little bit of the same problem that Bruce has, where he puts the side out, and 1 week they're really good, and then the next week they don't play with any effort or any enthusiasm, and he doesn't know what side's going to turn up.
No, he doesn't.
Apart from Antonio.
I don't know what side's going to turn up. But let's talk about a really fantastic footballing outfit, Ian. Let's get past West Ham, because there's not a lot to say right now about them. They haven't shown us a lot to talk about. But Wolves were fantastic against City. Podence was all over. He had that chip shot he messed up. He had a one-on-one, or he had a drive from distance that went.
They were good
really
in the second half, to be fair. They were pretty ropey in the first.
Traore went on a couple good runs, playing balls into the box. Raul Jimenez already in with the goals, already has like 3 or 4 on the season, which is a great start for them. He scored in the cup, hasn't he? And he's scored in the league.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
It's an official competitive
so if I'm counting
fixture.
the Community Shield, you go ahead and count the cups.
You argue. I mean, you have to because they have to go undefeated all season. I really like this Wolves side. I'm really impressed with them. I know Jota has left out of absolutely nowhere. There was no rumors, nothing was being said, and then all of a sudden 45 million quid came in and he left. But you've really got to back this sort of brain trust at Wolves that whenever a player leaves, it seems to be for the best. Like, it seems to be that the player is never as good as they were at Wolves, and Wolves seem to find somebody to replace them. And maybe they've done that with this 18-year-old, or maybe Wolves have a 3rd, 4th, 5th trick up their sleeve to bring in another young player, but they got a young player out of Liverpool for that. And it is hard not to look at Wolves and think that they have one of the best models for a football club out there. And they're in Wolves. They're in Wolverhampton. No one wants to go there, and they're still attracting talent. It's really impressive.
Gosh, he's probably never been there in his life.
I've been to Wolves.
He couldn't pinpoint it on a map, folks. He thinks it's down in Benidorm.
It's north of Leeds, right? Score prediction time, Ian.
Oh, I don't know why, Tom. I have a soft spot for David Moyes because he does nothing but win, and I want West Ham to do better than they're doing. So I think they're going to get up and running, not with a win, but with a draw, 1 apiece.
I've got Wolves winning this game. I've got Wolves winning this game 3-0.
Sheffield, Battle of the United. Sheffield United versus Leeds United.
Right, so Leeds have now scored 7 goals in their opening 2 games, of which half of those goals have been absolutely fantastic. Going forward, they are menacing. Patrick Bamford, man, like, I am impressed. I thought he was a championship striker. Like, I thought that was his level. He was a Chelsea product, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not wrong to think that because he's never done it in the Premier League. So, yeah, absolutely.
They didn't trust him to do it in the Premier League. But he's been fantastic. Is it Calvin Phillips? Is that their center mid? He's been freaking awesome. Costa got a brace in that game. But
Robin as well, I really like him.
Yeah.
He's really good. And obviously Helder Costa got 2, you just mentioned it, but yeah.
Robin Koch is a player we were convinced was going to be good in the Premier League and has thus far given up 2 penalties.
That's consistency.
This is like Johnny Woodgate's debut for Real Madrid, where he scored a goal, scored an own goal, I think, and then got sent off for a penalty. Like, it is as bad as it can possibly get for this kid right now.
Look, let's just say, they've had 2 amazing games where they've won 1-4-3 and lost 1-4-3. So it just shows you that they're amazing at one end, but got some work to do at the other end of the pitch. But I love Bielsa, how he looks nothing like a football manager. He looks like a guy who's just like wandered down to the allotment. Just
he looks like a bloke who's been in the
rankings.
He's been in the pub for 6 months drinking pints, and he's just wandered out, and he's like, "Oh, I'm at a football pitch."
They've been incredible to watch so far. A side that hasn't been incredible to watch so far has been Wilder's Sheffield United, Thomas.
It's absolutely ridiculous that on one hand you sent John Egan off, and then literally Target, or whatever his name is, has just literally siped down a player in the box, but they're saying he's going for the ball. And Chris Wilder's not wrong when he says the ball's about 3 meters away from the bloke when he makes contact. Like, he's never getting the ball, and he probably should be off. So for a second,
is that the one he gave away the penalty on?
Yeah.
But is that not the kind of double jeopardy rule?
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying if you're going for the ball, but the ball is nowhere near him.
He was nowhere near.
It's like some of those fouls you used to see on Cristiano Ronaldo. Where
I'm not even convinced that Chris Egan should have been sent off because Watkins hasn't got control of the ball. He's got a lot to do. I reckon. I don't know. It's harsh, man.
It's the cynical nature of what he's doing because he is holding him backwards, and Watkins really does try to run for like 10 straight meters before eventually just kind of stopping and being like, if you're gonna hold on to me the entire time when I'm running, I can't play football. Like that's, but so I have a little bit of sympathy for Chris Wilder, but also this is what we were afraid of with Sheffield United, that teams were gonna battle against them the way Sheffield United have been battling, and that their goalkeeper wasn't good enough. And I'm not impressed by the goal that they conceded. It was the slowest header to cross the line in recorded history, and the defending was poor on it. And, now it's freaking Ramsbottom 0, Premier League 3.
Poor old Aaron Ramsdale. Can't even say his name right anymore.
Ramsbottom.
Oh my god, we can call him Ramsbottom from now on. That's absolutely fine. But I mean that's the thing now. Sheffield United, you know, they got to get a win on the board quick. You don't want 2 bad results to turn into 3 or 4 or 5.
Well, we've discussed this with Sheffield United before. Their back 4 and goalkeeper have always been so settled that it's allowed them to have this like baseboard, right? Like their floor is really high. Their ceiling is not much higher than their floor, but their floor is really high. But without Egan out there, and with a goalkeeper that does not command the area the same way Henderson does, against this Leeds side who are going to just literally attack over and over again, I'm a little bit worried. Just for this match. But I think Leeds are going to get a couple goals here. I mean, they've scored 7 in their last 2 matches, so I'm going to go with a 3-1 Leeds victory in this.
The love and respect I have for Chris Wilder, Tom, cannot be underestimated for what he did at Oxford United, and I cannot have him losing to a side that not only have they scored 7, but they've conceded 7 as well. And Sheffield United will win this game. It'll be a 2-1 win for the Blades. Thomas, I grow weary of these predictions. Bring me my main event.
Brighton, Hove and Albion play Manchester United.
Well. What do we have here? Another week rolls by and another week where Man United fail to win. Whoo boy, to tell us all about it is our resident expert and Manchester United fan, Thomas Pickering.
How is it a penalty? How is it a penalty? How is it a retaken penalty? How are the rules of the game built like this? How is this football anymore? I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted that almost every Man United game comes down to a VAR review for literally the last 8 months. Like, all we get to talk about now is a VAR review, Ed Woodward's inability to do his job correctly, and the fact that I feel bad for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because he doesn't even have a full deck of cards to play with and people want him out. Like,
hey, I'm leaving it to you. What do you? So, you know, other than the penalty, it wasn't a great performance, though, was it?
No, it was a really slow performance.
Well, not just the penalty and the bloody VAR De Gea on the line.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was nuts. Also, when he's like an inch off the line, like, and it's as he's hitting the ball, De Gea jumps.
Oh, sorry, I went the other way. I thought he should have got booked.
Okay, sending off.
Well, you know, it wasn't that far off the line.
It's time for me to talk about some positives. De Gea was actually quite good in goal. None of the mistakes were his fault. He had a fantastic, like, stiff arm from like 6 yards away where they pounded it at him and he just floored it over the top. Fosu-Mensah had a decent game down the right. Greenwood missed a wide open header. Fernandes and Pogba did not look like they had any interest in playing football. To me, the United side just looked tired and a bit hungover from, you know, the last 8 months of whatever they've done. But
partying at Mason Greenwood.
Can we talk about Brighton?
You don't. You can sit there. I'll talk about Brighton. Thanks very much. I thought Brighton were impressive for the second week in a row. Really, really strong performance. They got the goals early. Maupay with a couple of goals, which is a good sign for them when he's in the goals as well. Another good performance from Lamptey. Continues to impress. But just generally, they just look more confident every time that I see them. More assured in the game plan that Potter's putting together. Yes, go for it.
Trossard, a player I hated last year for 2 games now, has looked like a totally different footballer. He looks awesome going forward. He looks like the player they advertised him as, this, you know, like, young, he's Argentinian, isn't he?
I'm not too sure, but I agree with you. That's what I generally thought. I thought they looked like a side that looked pretty good going forward, and that's obviously, thankfully, Lallana's not too badly injured. He came back on as a sub. And just that defensive rock that they still got from the Houghton days is still so good. They've got such a good defensive shape. You go a goal down to this Brighton side, it's unlikely you're going to come back and win the game. You might get a draw, but they're so good at shutting out games. This will be a tough one for Man U. I don't think it's a game they really want off the back of that Crystal Palace one.
I actually don't know which way to go with this because, you know, there's your heart and there's your head. And my head tells me that this is going to be a brutal game for Man United because Brighton were really good against top sides last year because they're really well organized. The Brighton versus Newcastle game, they flowed a bit more than I've ever seen them do. Like when they attacked, it was 3 of them attacking instead of Neil Maupay with the ball and then 40 yards behind, everyone kind of jogging into position being like, it's cool, Neil will just have a shot. Like it felt like everyone was like, okay, we flow now, we go. He's going to lay it off. drive into the area. And Tariq Lamptey, like you said, has been freaking awesome. So obviously 2-0 Man United.
Yeah, after all that, I'm going to go Man United as well. I don't know why. I just think they'll win 2-1.
It seems very much like the season is coming thick and fast, and we've got a lot of stuff to do. And I want to apologize to everyone that we probably aren't doing as much of our video comments and stuff as we are, but I'm just going to quickly thank Chris Smith, CB&9 Crate, Alexander Allen, Robert Allen, Nathan Heaver, Dublin's Fair City, Sam Boots, Shane O'Donnell, Cassidy Davison, and Emilio Cardenas for your kind words, your predictions, everything else. When we get to, breathe again for the first time this season, we will start to actually respond to you more. But right now, thank you so much for continuing to watch, support, and subscribe. And obviously, tell your friends about it. See you next week.